Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pixel Classroom Podcast livecast. Those that are listening on the audio field, and thank you for joining us. Our first episode of 2026 with episode 221. And I have it going to kick off the year with actually a great guest here. She is the mother of four, founder of the Society of Children Entrepreneurs, or SoCE, nonprofit dedicated to helping children ages 6 through 17 build confidence, leadership, and real world business skills through hands on learning, and inspired by watching her own children turn everyday ideas into action. I know I definitely have had that with my own kids doing that fun too. But her destination teaches through business fairs, curriculum coaching, and helps teachers reach and children reach real venues, learn financial literacy, and develop resilience through experience, not theory. I'd like to welcome the one and only Leah Ellis to the Pixel Classroom Podcast. Leah, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So I gave you kind of the introduction a little bit here, especially about the Society of Child Entrepreneurs. So why don't you give everybody here in the listening audience a little bit about yourself? How did you get onto this? Everything else yourself? Like I said, your kids were your inspiration for that and everything. So what is the story between Leah Ellis?
So many things, jack of all trades and did all this stuff. I was an Army brat and moved around and really always loved being an educator. So I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher. Ended up getting married and having kids and not finishing college because I was busy having kids, which I love. And they're fabulous and wonderful in so many ways. But then I ran a daycare. I loved running my daycare. But COVID shut my daycare down. And so we pivoted a little bit, and my husband and I created a financial coaching company. And then all of my financial coaching clients would come to me as adults and say, why didn't anybody teach this to me when I was a kid? So I wrote my first curriculum, a financial literacy curriculum for 13 to 16-year-olds, and I loved teaching that. Had like 150 kids go through in the first 4 months and just absolutely loved the program. But I realized that really just teaching financial literacy wasn't what I wanted to do. And while I was starting my business, my daughter, who was at the time 4, said, Mom, I want to do that too. And being a mom, of course, I said, no, kids
Yes.
business for 4.
Yeah, exactly. I know my own son, like, oh, Dad, I want to do this. I'm like, Tyler, you're 5. No, this is not happening right now.
Well, but then she did that one thing that every 4-year-old's really good at. And she said, well, why? And I
Of
realized
course.
I didn't have an answer for that. I didn't know why she couldn't start a business except for that she was 4 and we were stuck at home in the middle of COVID. So it's not like she was going to do anything else. So I asked her some questions, figure out what she wanted to do, how she wanted to do it, and let her start Melody Paints. And she created custom drip art paintings where you simply selected the colors of art you wanted. She painted you a piece and then mailed it directly to you. They were amazing, and it was such an amazing experience to watch strangers buy from my 4-year-old and watch her confidence, because like people loved her art. That she was a professional artist at 4.5.
Wow.
It isn't something a lot of people get to say they did. And after COVID, we did a children's business fair in our community, and it was a lot of fun, but it didn't leave me like I didn't feel like we were in control of anything. So we moved away. And when we got to our new home, I decided to host my own children's business fair so I would have a little bit more control over what was going on. But when it was finished, I still felt like something wasn't quite right. We had 11 kids in this room packed to the brim, full of supporters, all of them selling their merchandise, running their businesses. They were brilliant and amazing. And then they went home. And we had left nothing next for them. So I convinced my friends that with my education experience and my entrepreneurial experience, that we should create the Society of Child Entrepreneurs, and we should take that children's business fair and keep it absolutely as one of our core programs, but we should add on to it programming and curriculum to teach and develop entrepreneurship in more ways. So we started having real classes. We teach financial literacy, we teach leadership. I've taught mission and vision statements to 6-year-olds. And it's all because we started out with that one children's business fair. And now exactly what you're looking at, we are starting the SoCE Circle, and it officially launches next week, where kids from around the nation will be able to join us in this online community with their parents and their families so that we can all teach entrepreneurship no matter where you are.
And I think that's really important. One of my current coworkers too, he's teaching entrepreneur, and I've taught entrepreneurship too. One things I definitely learned early on teaching when I taught the class first time, which hard to believe now was about 7 years ago. But one of the things my own superintendent says, like, this is nice, but what are they wanting to create? What is it going to do that's not only helping them, but it's actually going to benefit others? And that's where we need to go. Not the fantasy of this is what I'd like to do, but how is it going to benefit them now? And my second time I did it, it was much more header end, and I actually had some people that actually did some local communities that kind of like a stop shop, like these are overstocked items, you can find these here at a good price, people who have lower income or people who are looking for better deals. And they actually launched a website that actually lasted for about 2 years. That worked very well. It was a wonderful entrepreneur. One wanted to talk about public service people between the fire department as well as home care nurses, and some people didn't even know about some of the cases. So it was really a different change for me, because I never could really, as much as I've been a CTE teacher for a decade now, it was one about what did it matter, but also exactly how to walk them through the circles. A lot of these students didn't know how to do it. They wanted to do it. Some of them have said, I mean, my current students themselves, so they want to work for themselves. But I always said, but what is the beneficial? How are you working for yourself besides, oh, I'm going to make money? They're like, oh, well, I want to do this. I want to do this. I'm like, but how are you going to get that started? And they kind of look at me like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Right. And I started with 6-year-olds.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
6-year-olds, usually when you're in kindergarten or getting ready to go to first grade.
Right. I tell people if your kid can add and subtract within 20 and has some type of hobby, I can teach them how to start a business. So the next picture, if you scroll down a little bit further, that's my daughter when she was 5 in front of one of her booths.
I have to say, I might actually would bought one of these. I really like it.
So cool, right?
I'm the pixel teacher. You get have her do some pixels, I'm gonna be ready to go for it.
Well, and she did some of them glow in the dark. The ones that are neon look really cool under black light. She had some awesome art.
Yeah, I have to say this is very good, especially for the age of 6 here. My brother and he's around son too, but he was able to like draw like almost like well done drawings that would have been like something maybe a 7th or 8th grader could by the time he was in 2nd grade. So he had a lot of artistic skills himself.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, and I have another kiddo who is a really amazing character artist, and the art that he creates is just mind-blowing. And he sells it in little printed frames at our children's business fairs, and people just love buying his art.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it looks pretty. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty much here. And so, if those who are on the live stream, you can see it. Those who are on the audio, I'll have links here in the show notes, so you can go ahead and check out Leah's website and everything. But yeah, it's pretty good here too. I was also checking out some of the other ones. Oh, there's the business fair I was looking for.
Yep.
There it is. There we go. So yeah, some of the pieces in the paper drawings right there. Yeah, that looks pretty nice actually.
Yeah. Our next fair is in April, so I haven't started massive advertising yet, but it will come soon.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Get back here. One thing about doing live stream, I have to toggle. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks absolutely great. So, and then what is, like I said, when you have your own website, of course, Leah Ellis here about building confidence in the story. So what's the difference between the Maine Society of Children and your main website itself too? Because there seems to be some differences work here that goes a little bit more further.
So this website, the Leah Ellis, is really just where I sell the books that I'm writing. So this does mostly just right now only have Astra and Zeke books on it, but I have some other books that are in the process of changing publishing hands, and then they'll be on here as well. But Astra and Zeke is the Society of Child Entrepreneurs curriculum. So Astra and Zeke are 10 and 12-year-old business coaches who work together to teach other children how to run business. So if you're a child entrepreneur who doesn't know how to solve a problem, you go to your business coaches, Astra and Zeke, and they help you solve that problem. Our curriculum is based so that every lesson starts with an Astra and Zeke story on how they've helped a client with this problem, and then the children get to apply that solution to their own businesses.
Wow, I really like this, especially because the picture books and everything definitely grab you, and I really like it. I mean, these do look like, reminds me of the old 90s Burger King Kids Club where you had the kid vid and all that. They really made, and they looked like normal kids. Yes, they were cartoons, but they made ones that were inspirational that helped them with the various little pieces of that back. I really like.
Oh yeah, they're fabulous. Really nice. Astra and Zeke are they're one of the favorite things that we have created as a society is our Astra and Zeke stories and the books that come with them. If you know anything about public
There they
books,
are.
yeah, if you know anything about publishing books, illustrating and publishing takes a long time. So while we have 36 books planned, only one of them is currently available to purchase. And that is this one right here, The Origin Story of Astra and Zeke.
Which you can buy now, as they say right here on your favorite little pieces too, and everything. So yes, that's a purpose in there. Yep, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I know because like I said, it's not on me right now, but I have, like I said, I did a graphic novel, which was kind of a sort of biography on my life and everything, and that took close to about 7 months before we got it. I was working with somebody who was on the other side of the country. I would pay her and everything else, and then Natasha was her name, and which was funny. Her last name was Reed too. It was just spelled differently. So they were like, wait, this is the Reed and Reed book? Like, well, that just happened to be quick. But yeah, she would have to send it to me. It would take her sometimes about 5 to 6 days. Sometimes she would have a little faster turnaround and everything. And when I was working on Small Hope, which was my little story here, which was about a guinea pig from outer space that brings hope back to a family and everything, of my artist was local, we had a little bit more time so we could jump on the computers and everything, Destiny and I, when we were working on that too. But it was a very interesting time. People don't seem to understand exactly, how much work goes into the illustration, even if you're doing it yourself, even if you're not really spending the money or anything on it. It's a slow process. I mean, some people can write a book. I know Brad Meltzer with his Viper book, he said himself, he's working on it been working on the story for 3 years, but he wrote it in 2 months. I mean, at his point in his career, he can sit down and say, yeah, I know all the characters, I know where I'm going. And same thing with me too. I can sit down and I'm working on a book right now as well as a side story and everything else. And I can hammer it out pretty fast, but the process is quite a bit. And I've never had a chance to do it, but like you said, you have all these books planned. How does the process work here, working with Astra and Zeke for the book series?
So all of the curriculum has the story, even though it doesn't have a picture book aligned with it. So if you were to teach a lesson next week on, say, week 4, and we're talking about mission and vision statements, and we don't have the mission and vision statement book, you can still read the story of how Astra and Zeke approach mission and vision. But the process now is I'm writing all of these stories, and then I send the stories to my artist. My artist he looks to do one book at a time, one spread at a time, get it perfect before he moves on to the next one. So it was about 6 months of illustrating for this first book.
So like I said, that was about it. Because like I said, Small Hope we got done in about 5 months, but luckily that was more roasts and stuff. We had we did a Kickstarter and Donors Choose, which Peyton, and it actually went very well. We had a lot of people, actually several artists and educators actually got the book for the children. My wife actually loves reading the book too story, and I know some other younger librarians have had it too, so it really did. But by the time we were all done, it was almost 10 months later, and we had to self-publish and everything, cover the costs and everything else, and it can take quite a little bit to get that set. So yeah, I mean, the fact that,
Absolutely.
like I said, 6 months, trying to pop on there right there. It's not working. There you go. I was actually trying to purchase a copy of the book right now. That's right, folks. I'm purchasing a book live.
Thank you for buying.
It's being a pain here. Hold on, I'm gonna switch something to my view here. I just don't want my information going up.
No worries.
On the live feed. There it goes.
I love this story. I love being able to read it. The first time I got to read it to my kids, one of the pages, it's a children's business fair, but it's the children's business fair where my daughters also have their Girl Scout meetings in the same building. So when I opened up the page, my youngest daughter is 2, and she said, "Mom, look, it's Girl Scouts." Because she recognized the building. It was so cute.
That's great. I love that.
It was
look, it's Girl Scout.
Yeah.
That is
being able
it is
being able to read it is so much fun. And we also did a Kickstarter, and part of our Kickstarter was our backers paid for 1 copy for every elementary school in our city. So earlier this week, I got to drive around when everybody was back from Christmas break and deliver copies of my book to all of our elementary schools, which was so much fun.
All right, there we go. And I'm just like saying, I just completed the purchase there. It says it'll be here by next week. There we go. And see, now I got it. See, now you can say, not only that I actually bought something, I don't do the guess, I also buy other things too. Right. So yeah, I'll be here next. I'll let you know how that is. I can't leave Amazon reviews anymore because of something that happened actually during COVID of all places. I was buying so many books and stuff. I was leaving reviews so many times. They said you're leaving too many reviews, and I can't leave reviews anymore. So,
oh no.
Yes.
You have to leave a review on our Facebook page instead.
I think that's much more possible on that. So yes.
Yes.
Oh
But
man. All
absolutely,
right.
let
Well,
at the very least, email me and let me know what you think of it.
yeah,
It is
I can do that. I can definitely do that. So yeah,
it
and
is
everything else.
it is fun to be able to create these stories to inspire these kids.
Yeah, and like I said, you have the fairs and everything coming up too, and you like I said, you've definitely shown with teaching stuff, and definitely one thing is empower kids to learn. I mean, somebody who myself has definitely been financial literacy. I definitely do it now. I was doing my little talk as my students are getting ready to start with their occupational project next week, where they gotta search it out, said what is. But I said this isn't you leaving high school. This isn't you leaving college. This isn't leaving you leaving the military or whatever, or an apprenticeship. This is you. You've had 5+ years. What is this career you want to do? Where do you want to lead it? And what are you hoping for? And then, of course, as the semester goes on, we plug that into like, home buying, home budgets, car, whether
Mhm.
you do public or not too. So, what is actually one of those pieces? Because I was definitely a little question. What is one little small things that adults can do to empower young learners to, lead like that? I teach leadership. I definitely bring things up several times. We just got finished watching Cinderella Man about a very dark and financial time during the Great Depression, for Jimmy Braddock, which is interesting. My grandfather actually he was in the military during that time. He actually listened to the original boxing match on the radio, so he actually remembered James Braddock's battle. But what's something that they can do to inspire students and young children for entrepreneurial and financial literacy?
One of my favorite things to do is when you're trying to inspire entrepreneurship and leadership and financial literacy in your kids, sit them down at the dining room table when you're all eating and just look at them and say, if you could fix one problem that we've had today or one situation that frustrates you, how would you change it? And when they tell you what the problem is and how they would change it, ask them, how would that work? What would it look like? Who else would it help? Because then they're starting to think of themselves as members of their community, and they're starting to think of themselves as leaders in their community. And they're getting that little bit of entrepreneurial, like, well, maybe I could sell something that other people could use. And then that starts the ball rolling of how can you help them keep that little inspiration going? And then you end up with kids like we have at our children's business fair who just pop up and sell their stuff to strangers and get to keep the money. And that's the best way to empower them to keep learning, is give them a few bucks. They get really excited about getting more of those.
Yes, that's the question. I mean, I'd be like, "Here's a quarter." I'm like, "A quarter? I like this quarter. I'm gonna go get my gumballs." I used to say when I was younger, and I think that's also really important because, especially at that young age, is also teaching them, when does something work? When do they fail in a business? I mean, like I said, my son thought of some ideas that didn't work out, but he does the old classic lemonade stand. He did that for a number of years. Then he just got older and doesn't want to do it. He wants to do game live streaming now, which he's old enough, which is where this poor microphone's going to go one of these days. It's like I want to upgrade. I'll be like, here you go, Tyler. You have your own streaming SR system. This is not sponsored, but a fine system with everybody. But anyhow, but what is an important thing to teach you? Because that's a very young age to do it. I know I definitely learned early on. You fail. Yes, sometimes you cry about it. Also to learn why you fail, and hopefully, as they say, do better going forward.
Right. So one of the Astra and Zeke books actually is about failing forward. And we talk about how the client that they were helping set up a slime booth. And she just knew people were going to love to buy her slime because everybody loves slime. And then she got no sales. Even her grandma walked by and didn't buy from her. She was heartbroken. And so they talked about, well, okay, this didn't work. What can we do to make it work next time? And she brainstormed some of the things that could have gone wrong and how to fix them. And in this case, it was something where she failed forward by understanding what went wrong and how to fix it so she could try again. I had somebody ask me earlier today, okay, but what about when they fail forward and it still doesn't work? When is it okay to let them quit? And so I told them the answer is they have to quit on a high note. They have to quit knowing that they gave it their best shot, and they can't quit giving up. Quitting because you don't want to do it anymore or because you want to try something different is different than quitting because you've given up. And I think that's an important thing for you and your family to be able to talk to your kids about, like, are you giving up? Are you feeling low in this? Or do you feel like this has just reached the end of its course? My daughter just rebranded her business, and it was a big discussion on whether or not I was going to allow her to shut down or rebrand her business.
And I think that's extremely important because I something I've myself said many times, both personally and professionally. I've told a lot of, and I've told this to many students. There's many now that are, adults and teachers themselves. But I said the hardest thing is when you need to know when to walk away. Like you've given it all or you've tried your best and it's seriously is just not working and it's not good for you. It's not a good thing, but or at the same learning experience, but you want to move on. I said that's always the hardest part is when you walk away from something. I mean, at one point, I did a lot of stuff as I've told, my students too about my career. I thought about going into into filming, acting, and everything. And I did do professional work. I did pilots, I did voiceover work. I was actually paid. I failed and stuff, but it did get to a point to where it's like this isn't working. It's not sustainable. I tried it. I still love doing it. I mean, I do my community theater all the time and I still do voice work. And I still love doing my media animations and all some for personal fun stuff. But I said it came a point where that was still part of my life, but it wasn't to the point where it needed my full focus. And that's when I decided to walk away.
Yep. And that's actually a fun fact about me from decades ago. I was a professional model. I was paid exactly one time.
Right, exactly. And I even did a quick little photo shoot and they gave me $300. I'm like, I can live then. All I had to do was like, you're going to just put your arm out and just look like this as a normal person. Do that. I can do that. They're like, and here's players. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm like, it's a car payment. I'm set.
Right, exactly.
So going forward, so we got a lot going on here too. So what is the plan for the future of the Astra and Zeke books, as well as the upcoming fair yourself, like you said, in April here? So what is the future plans here going on for the for the Children's Society of Entrepreneurs?
So a couple of our really big things coming up this year. One is we're having a March Madness contest, and it's going to be a pitch contest in March. We'll take 16 child entrepreneurs and we'll actually let them go head to head with their business pitches. And then the winner gets some extra perks at our April Children's Business Fair. And then we have our 4 children's business fairs every year and pilot programs for our curriculum. So tomorrow we actually launch the very first pilot program of our 36-week program. And this will be the first group of kids who really gets to go through and test the waters of what this curriculum looks like for kids who haven't already been exposed to entrepreneurship. So I'm really excited about that program. And then the last big thing is next week when we launch the SoCE Circle and people can join us online. So lots of things happening.
And it's coming up fast now. Like you think you planned this all of a sudden, like, wait, it's January. Oh, this is like you said, you're kind of coming up here pretty soon in about 2 weeks with the one, and then you got the other one coming up in April. I mean, hard to believe it's going to be here before you're fast. I mean, I looked the clock and said, wait, we're done with the first week of school in the new semester. Like that was a quick 5 days. I'm like, and then they're like, oh yeah, and we got this set up in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, and they're like, and we got to do the students for the new programs coming up. And I said, didn't we just talk about that in October? I'm like, oh yeah, it's January now. I'm like, okay, it comes up really fast.
It's almost time for conferences again.
If people who only see me in the visual, I just did a thumbs up, like very happy person to remember I'm the Pixel teacher. People in the audios are like, I can still visualize that right now. I probably use this left hand. I'm like, well, yeah, I use my left hand here.
Yeah. Conferences are coming up soon. Report cards will be due again. I'll be doing new enrollments. It's amazing how quick it happens. The school years just keep rolling by.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Like I said, I'm in a new district this year, but already I'm like, wait, it's been 6 months already. I said, and then like I said, it's coming up. It'll be coming up for almost a year since I interviewed to go there. So I'm like, wait, it's already a year gone by. So it's gone pretty fast. So it does. It keeps rolling on. Like I said, kind of noticed as I got older, especially as you and I both have our own children. Like I said, my son starts driving in a couple months. Oh,
no, my oldest is only 10. I still have a few years, but
you got time.
Yeah, our kiddos are 2, 4, 7, and 10. And so my 7 and 10-year-old both already have their own businesses. And they're like, when's the 4-year-old going to jump on board? And I'm like, we just don't.
Well, there you go. Pretty soon you have all 4. And by the time you get to the 4th one, the other one's going to say, oh, hey, Mom, can I use my business to buy a car? I'm like, you pay for it, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
There's an idea.
They're very well, and because I teach financial literacy, all of our kids know that when you get money, there are only 3 things that you can do with money. You can spend it, you can save it, and you can give it away. And as we get older, we give it all kinds of really fancy names like investing and charitable contributions and stuff, but it all comes down to spend, save, or give away. And so my kids are required, whenever they earn money, they have to allocate some for spending, some for short-term saving, some for long-term saving, and some to give away. So they know already, starting when they were 4 years old, they started saving for their first cars.
Yeah, which actually is a very smart idea. I definitely agree. I know I saved at a very early age. My wife has honestly always been the good saver. I mean, really, seriously, she really is. That is something I've also said to my students myself, especially here as we do for consumer econ as ourselves too, is like, no, we go through the stuff. Like right now, this is about the job and the career, but then we'll the banking and investing, and we're gonna like, what are you investing in? You're investing to make some money in the stock market. Are you gonna save this? Are you gonna spend it, and so forth? And then later on, it's understand it exactly how loans work. What is the point of credit? And I always say, like, what fastest way you can start earning a credit score is like, they're like, I don't know. I said, you basically take $100 loan out and then you pay it right back. And you've right there built your credit, and then that's where it goes. I said, the problem is can you be responsible for the credit? Because at some point, too, yes, you got to spend, save, or give it away.
Yeah. And I tell them all the time, you can spend, you can save, you can give. And if you're a business owner, your business can still do only those things: spend, save, or give away. And so a business needs to have a little bit of an emergency fund. Business needs to have some money for capital investments and improvements. Those are savings. They need to have money that they're spending on all of their overhead. And then they need to have money, especially a for-profit needs to have money that they're donating to their community. Because if you're lucky enough to have a successful for-profit business, then your community has been supporting you, and it is your due diligence to support them back.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that too. It's definitely something I've said myself, even my entrepreneur class, as well as my marketing classes too, especially when we've worked for community. Because that was my biggest thing when I did marketing. I said, no, I want you to be invested in marketing. I want you to do something for the school. I want you to do something for the community, because the truth is, those are your clients. Those are your pieces. And the truth is, as I also said, students ended up having much more stake and much more, buy-in to those projects when they did that. And that's always been a pretty amazing piece too. I know definitely something my coworkers themselves really enforced too with their CTE and financial literacy classes.
Another fun thing I love is one year my daughter at her children's business fair, she felt like she wasn't having as many sales as she wanted. And so she made a new sign for her booth that said 10% of profits donated to the Society of Child Entrepreneurs, just so that then she could tell people, when you buy from me, I donate to charity. And she did.
10%.
She did donate 10% of her profits to the nonprofit. But it was just really funny because she was like, well, how can I put on my marketing hat? I need people to stick around longer. Oh, I'll tell them that I'm doing good with their money. People like to know that they're being a part of something good. And she's right. But that was a big thought process for somebody who was 8 years old at the time.
Yeah, I mean, an 8-year-old thinking that versus, close to 11 or 12, because at that point, like, oh yeah, you're right, I should be doing this more. But at 8, that is quite a big leap for that. So it's definitely showing the positivity and stuff for the, Society for Children Entrepreneurs, as well as them young too. Because the truth is, if you start teaching both financial literacy, but also how it affects your community, you're, as they say, you are teaching them some not only ethical skills, but you're also teaching about exactly how it all goes away full circle as well too. What you put out in the world comes back to you.
Right. And one of my favorite things, so we do so many programs. We have so much stuff that I do with my daughters and with my Society of Child Entrepreneur students. But when they get together, we do what I call a SoCE circle, which is like a Socratic circle, but for kids. So I will give them like a 10-minute lecture on whatever topic we're going to discuss. And then I pose a problem to them, and they have to work together to solve this problem in a business. And sometimes their answers get very outrageous because they are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids in this room who just want to be the class clown sometimes. So we've definitely had some interesting business pitches come through our SoCE circles.
I can somewhat imagine some of those ideas. I've definitely heard my own thought process. Includes this is repackaged bologna. I don't eat bologna, but my mom loves it, so we repackage it and we sell it as our version of Lunchables. And I kind of went, actually, that's not a bad idea. You're actually not wasting food.
This is my favorite stapler. It's a beautiful dragon statue. I own the trademark on the phrase "slay money dragons," so this is my money dragon. But I did a program where I put a bunch of random office supplies in a drawstring bag, and I told the kids, draw something out of the bag and give me a 30-second pitch on why I should buy it from you. So this lovely 12-year-old girl pulls my stapler out of the bag, and I am gung-ho to hear how she's going to pitch my stapler. And then she says, You know that kid on the playground who won't leave you alone? Give me a call and I'll take care of him. And I was like,
Very,
that was
very.
not,
That was a very Max Mayfield from Stranger Things moment right there.
I was like, that was not what we were going for. You were supposed to sell
No.
the stapler, not the service. But the creativity was
That was
there,
good.
and it was a great pitch. She had great energy. So we did talk about the things that went well in her pitch and the things that maybe we needed to address and change. But when you put a bunch of kids in a space and tell them you guys get to be the leaders. Yeah, sometimes I get really funny stuff, but I've also had kids look at each other and say, okay, she broke her arm and she can't run her business because her arm is broken, but she could partner with one of us and we could help her put her stuff together and just take a portion of her profits so that we're still working as a partnership and then support each other in making sure that both of them have successful businesses. So yes, they're amazing, but it's not all fun and games.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that is really good. But yeah, that is the something. And I think learning at that early of an age really does help themselves too. Because, like I said, one of the biggest things I always tell as we get older, imagination never goes away. So if you can, I said, if you can think of a better pitch when you were 9 years old versus you're 15, then you need to tap back into that thought process back then. I mean, people always tell me too, and I mean, my coworkers, like, I don't know how you think these things up. It's like your head never stops. Like you tapped into your 4-year-old imagination and you just made it to 40 with it. I said, oh, I can think of things in the middle of the night, and sometimes I'll have things happen and kids are just like shocked how I roll with it. Like I ended up doing things like, I'm just little problems, everything, and what it is and what you put out in the world would come out and what your site. I mean, if the walls could talk, and I put my hand on the whiteboard and I looked at it and I said, we don't want to listen to that one. And then I said, if anybody figures out what movie I was just quoting, I'll give you a candy on that one. But a lot of kids were like, wait, what? And then they later on, like, Dr. Reed, what was that? I said, it's a line from The Internship with Robert De Niro when he's at the old company working. He said, these walls could talk. Puts his hand on them, and he's like, I don't know if they want to say what they heard. It was that, but that was the joke.
Right, exactly. It's just so much fun to work with the kids and see what they grow and develop, and then all of the programs that we get to come up with to keep them engaged it makes me so happy because the kids are also excited to come to my meetings. And anytime kids are excited to see you, it feels like a win.
I actually agree with that too, and I think that's honestly a great mic drop moment with that too. Leah, this has been great for the whole time and everything. Where can people get a hold of you here besides checking my show notes?
Facebook at Society of Child Entrepreneurs obviously is where I'm very millennial, so that's where I spend the most of my time. We also have our website, which is the easiest way to find that is SoCEICT.org. That's just our shorthand, and it'll take you to our full website. And then we have a bit.ly page that's usually linked on our Facebook page, and that'll take you to all of the newest things that are going on for us. And you can always see the best and the newest. And then on Monday, join me for the launch party for the SoCE Circle and be one of the first people to get to join in and be a part of that new community and get some sneak peek to some of the lesson plans that I've already written. So you can just download the lesson plan and walk into the classroom with it.
I'll see. There you go. Great little piece too. And actually, believe it or not, I'm hopefully going to get this episode edited and out on Saturday, so that'll get a good 2 days extra promotion to it to do that. And I'll send you the link so we can have a little piece on that as well too. So, Leah, this has been a really great little half hour. I've been loving talking about finance literacy and everything, which has been my big little area here, little CT and entrepreneurship and everything. And honestly, like I said, I think I would even buy one of yours. And hey, I bought your book, so you made a sale. Okay, you got a sale. And like I said, I'll read it, I'll go over it too and everything else too. And I'll see if my wife wants to do it too. Because like I said, she's a librarian. So we'll see what she thinks of that.
And it does have a Library of Congress control number, so she can put it in library circulation.
No, I'll see. There we go. We're in great shape right there. So
yep, I checked
all right. Oh, there we go. See, she does it all right, everybody. We are in good shape there. We got our ISBN. We're good.
Mm-hmm. I did everything I was supposed to do.
See, as a good entrepreneurship and teacher does, we checked our notes, we did our research, and then we made sure it worked in action. All right. Thank you.
Well, and fun fact for those of you who do buy the book, in the book, there are a couple of QR codes and they are functional. So if you find them and you scan them, they do work.
Oh, even better. I mean, hello, it's 2026. We're used to scanning things with our phones, or in our cases, sometimes our other smart devices too. So there we go.
Yep.
So you're gonna try it. So yeah, you've definitely got everything out there. You can check out, of course, Leah's website, leahkellis.com. You also can check the Society of Children Entrepreneurs as well as their social media stuff. Like I said, this will all be available on the show notes for both the live stream and for the audio when this drops here in the next, hopefully, the next 48 hours. Leah, thank you so much. Congratulations on everything, the rest of the book series. Good luck to everything coming out here. And thank you for joining us on the Pixel Classroom podcast tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Yes, it was a great time. And with that note, everybody, we'll talk to everybody later.